The RLCS has gone through 11 different maps in its nearly 8-year lifespan, but what's the most insane and iconic shot hit on each map? I saw this idea on Twitter being given away for free, so I decided to look through hundreds of goals, old and new, to find the most iconic shot on each RLCS map. Now, a couple ground rules before we start. First, iconic does not equal impressive. There are probably shots on every map that have been more mechanically impressive, but that's not what we're here for. We are trying to find the most well-known and esport defining goals. Second, I decided to go with 2 goals per map, one from seasons 1 through 9, and another from season X until the time of recording, mainly because a lot of shots that the people who have been around forever would consider iconic, the newer fans may have never seen before. Also, not all the maps will have 2 goals because some maps were only in the RLCS rotation in the early days and some have only showed up recently. With all that out of the way, let's go back to the year 2016 and look at the first map. Starting off with Beckwith Park, which some might shock you to see here because it was only in the RLCS rotation during season 1, so there's not much that I could really find, but I think this is the best one.
With over 0, with company, he tries to drop it in. What a play from Kronovi!
Throwing some spin-a-roonies on that one, Burley. Look at this 360 no-scope coming out in with a nose on that far post past that team. What a beautiful shot.
Staying in season 1, we are moving to the grand finals on Mannfield with probably the most iconic shot hit that season.
Defense coming out from this iBuyPower team.
Defense and iBuyPower, not things you usually talk about at the same time. He's carrying it. Kronovi, they can put it in! They stay alive! We go to game 5.
What was this coming off the wall?
I love watching this clip because it shows how far this game has come, with a simple air dribble causing the casters as well as the player himself going absolutely crazy. As for a more recent goal, I surprisingly couldn't find much, so if you know of a better one, let me know. I decided to go with this crazy shot from AJG during the most recent World Championship.
And DRR will bring it out back towards midfield, and that is how this epic confrontation begins. AJG answers right back. Punch, counter punch, complexity.
Now this clip is impressive enough as it is, but the fact that he did this to Carmine Core, with the deafening cries of the blue wall surrounding him, makes it so much more impressive and definitely iconic. Now this map was the exact opposite of Mannfield, where instead of finding not enough iconic goals, DFH Stadium had too many. From the Jacob and Sad Jr. passing play,
back into the middle, Sad Jr., nice flick, looks for Jacob,
No way!
to this insane shot from Devo.
Lesson, nobody from NRG was taking the bait. Devo up high, that is going to drop down fire, but it will not be there! Devo with an incredible double tap!
And even this mind-boggling angle from a lot.
Are going to sue this Mucket squad down to the ground, although a lot puts that one straight up. That is the angle of the century!
But I think the most iconic shot comes from the Season 7 Grand Finals, and as a G2 fan, I'm just gonna turn around and you guys can tell me when the clip is over.
Around the corner, Chicago, it bounces off the rim. Scrub, he grabs the ball, heading out to kill it. J-Naps blows it downfield. Fairy Peak, midfield, he's under 1. Fairy Peak carrying this to get it up into the back wall. Scrub, killer scores! 0 seconds, unbelievable!
Phew, thank God that's out of the way. Let's move on to the newer seasons. Imagine you're living out in the Middle East, and you finally see that your region is eligible for RLCS. People are excited, especially Johnny Boy, and a lot of people recognize your talent, especially Johnny Boy. But at the same time, they're not confident you can do it on LAN. So you qualify for your first ever LAN in the beautiful Stockholm, Sweden, and you realize your first match is against the NA powerhouse G2. G2 again? Oh my god, do I really have to watch another G2 0-second loss? Fine. Roll the damn clip.
Back and forth. Both teams posture for OT. G2 will quite happily take it. Sandrock, they don't want to go there. Ahmad! Sends another redirect straight into the G2 net. 3-0!
Moving on to a map that has been taken out of the rotation as of the 22-23 season, Wasteland. Now the shot from the original seasons was super easy, and it was one of the first goals I even thought about when I had this idea.
Steals the mid boost as well. That's going to slow down Team Dignitas, who are now on the defensive. Still 0 goes. Oh my goodness! Oh my Garrett!
Now something I noticed going through all these clips is that most of the time, the shot is not iconic because of the goal. The shot is iconic because of the casters and the calls that they make during your goal. And this is definitely one of those that shows it off the best. Now as I said, this map was replaced in the 22-23 season, so I really only had the season before to find a goal, but I think I found it. Let me set the scene. You were part of Space Station Gaming, and after an okay season, you just made it into the wild card at Worlds. People aren't sure if you're going to survive the Swiss bracket with all the steep competition, but you're going to prove them wrong. After a 4-2 win against the club and a 4-2 win against your North American brothers in V1, you make it out of round 3. You might make it out of this with ease, and then tragedy strikes. You still put up a good fight against Semper, but ultimately lose in a Game 7 overtime. You hope tomorrow you'll start feeling better, but instead, you feel worse. You get swept by Dignitas, a team a lot of people thought you should have beaten. So now, you're into the final round, do or die, win or go home. Your team has to call a timeout so you can go throw up, but still, despite all that, you still find a way to deliver.
Looking to get the monkey off their back and get into the World Championship proper. Arsenal to the back wall. Bang, bang, and just like that, SSG survives and advances.
Let's move on to everyone's favorite Game 6 map, Neo Tokyo. For the newer seasons, it was between two. The selfless pass play from Nolly to win the Rotterdam Major was a close second.
Any of their players could be that guy. Same for Gen G. Oh, what a pass!
But I think my recency bias kicked in a little, and with it being the most viewed Rocket League Twitch clip of 2023, I think it definitely deserves this spot.
And it bounces up for Alpha. He's got another touch. Alpha, puts Hero red and right wing. Here's Zen up high. Takes it up. Zen across. Oh!
Now let's roll this Game 6 map back to Season 6, where this map's actually played on Game 3, but we'll ignore that, where we can watch one of the most game-breaking players ever, and someone who will definitely show up again on this list, Squishy Muffins.
After substantially struggling in Game 2. Torma gets this one away. Squishy's airborne, keeping it here in the midfield, giving himself options. He's got an open net in front of him. Puts it underneath. Oh my goodness, the flip reset off the defender. He pinches it.
This clip is so iconic mainly because of the creativity of it, which you might be thinking I'm crazy for saying a flip reset is creative, but back then, flip resets were only really used by freestylers, and no one thought it had a place in competitive Rocket League, but Squishy proved that sentiment wrong, and now flip resets are a commonplace in the RLCS. Speaking of him showing up again, let's move over to Utopia Coliseum, where Squishy scored another flip reset, although this one is definitely more iconic than the last.
And that one hit off to the side, Cloud9 mounting an assault. Squishy pounces to himself.
He gets
flip
it.
reset. Can he do it? Squishy Muffins. Torment finishes it off. What a play from Squishy and Cloud9.
As for the new seasons, this one is also pretty easy considering it got a nomination for Best Play of the Year from the Esports Awards. It's Joyo solo playing all of Team Falcons to lock in his major win as well as his overall MVP award.
Think about all the work these players put in throughout the spring split. Your backs are against the wall if you're Team Falcons. Meanwhile, Moist Esports, this is the culmination of all the work they put in.
They're confident, but why wouldn't you be?
These next two maps are pretty recent and therefore don't have any older clips, those maps being Forbidden Temple and Deadeye Canyon. With them being so recent, especially Deadeye Canyon, which was only around for the spring split and worlds of the recent season, there wasn't much to go off of. For Forbidden Temple, we have this beautiful double flip reset from Vatira during the Winter Major in LA.
Daniel will take this from the backboard, and the incredible poise of this Queso squad. Remember the last time the RLCS was in North America, none of them could play, and Vatira, villain, public enemy #1.
This shot to me is so iconic, mainly because of the story behind this Team Queso roster. In all honesty, I didn't really watch EU this season, so when this cheese-branded squad showed up at the Major, I thought it was hilarious, and chose them as my team from EU to root for solely based off the name. But then, they started going absolutely crazy, taking out team after team, and it looked like they weren't even trying. And even though they didn't win the Major, it got them on the map enough to get picked up by Moist Esports, and go on to be one of the most feared teams, honestly, probably ever. And as for Deadeye Canyon, we yet again have a member from the original Queso/Moist roster, being Joya with his beautiful MacTuff reset during the wildcard of the 2023 World Championship.
I don't know if he still had the reset available to himself. Joyo's turn.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, is
Oh
this
my.
gonna go the whole way? It's Joyo on land! And it's Joyo who will score the goals!
Aquadome is up next, and it was easily the most difficult one to find any shots for, so if I'm missing anything obvious, please let me know. The clip from the League Play era is the only clip on this list not hit during a LAN, showing how difficult it was to find anything from this map.
Envy.
They shut out Complexity. Now Complexity trying to shut them out. And oh my goodness! They couldn't stop a lot for long.
He does this over and over again. You can't call it a fluke. I don't know how he finds these angles or how he's mastered these shots.
I want to give an honorable mention to something that isn't technically a goal, but it is what a lot of people would consider to be one of the greatest matches of Rocket League ever played, and that was the Dignitas vs Vitality match during the Season 8 World Championship. I couldn't really count it on this list since it's not a single goal that makes it impressive, but instead the entire game. As for the open era, again, I couldn't really find anything, so I went with these back-to-back goals from TRK, which I wouldn't really consider iconic, but it is very impressive.
Clear that to the opposite side of the field. Up goes TRK. Reset, dares anybody to challenge him!
Oh! 1v3.
Take off. And they knew that was the end of that defensive play, 2-0.
Dignitas getting crisscrossed up. Here's TRK, reset, is it 2 for 2? Yes it is!
He's only got it done it again, the same game, the same move.
Coming into our final two maps, we have one of the most iconic shots in all of Rocket League. But before we get to that, since Urban Central is no longer in the map rotation, I want to give an honorable mention to Devo's double tap from Season 3.
Not really sure who's going to go for the clears. Devo looks for the pressure. Open net. Can he double tap this in? Oh my goodness! The Oceania region named that move after this player, and look at him perform here on the world stage.
This shot is super iconic, as Devo was the man to popularize the double tap, and this was one of the first showings of how consistent he could be with it. But now the shot you all expected after seeing this map, back for the third time on the list, it's the famous Squishy Muffin ceiling shot.
Now in the final minute, this was the scoreline in Game 3. Cloud9 unable to take it, but Squishy now with a ceiling shot! He puts it through! He's been going for this stuff all season, and he pulls it off here in the most clutch moments.
Now I don't have to say why this shot is iconic, but I will anyway. Just like the flip reset, Squishy was always trying to raise the bar when it comes to creativity, and this shot not only shows that, but it shows how far ahead Squishy's mechanics were at the time. The shot may not seem impressive nowadays, but there's a whole Sunless Con video talking about this exact shot, and it really puts it into perspective how incredible this was at the time. Last but not least, we have Champions Field, the stage where legends are made and dreams come true, but for some, those dreams are shattered. I'm sure you all know where this is going, so I'm just going to rip the band-aid off and show you.
4 seconds left! NRG need this immediately. They've got the kickoff in their favor. Kano tries to clear. It is almost there. It just has hit the floor. Violet Panda puts it a long way, and it's almost there. Justin keeps it alive. Turbo it there. Bounces into the corner. NRG still around. Justin is there for the shot. Justin! Justin! This is Rocket League!
You all know it, you all love it. This shot is the most iconic shot in the history of Rocket League for a reason, and whatever I say, you've probably heard already about this shot. So what I want to do is focus on this shot from the 2022 World Championship. Let's go back in time to the winter major. Team Queso, after an incredible performance but falling short of G2, their name spread like wildfire. Eventually, their name made it to the doorstep of an up-and-coming organization called Moist Esports, run by none other than Moist Critical. He swoops up this Team Queso squad, and their skill as a team only increases as time goes on. With an absolutely spectacular spring major taking first place, they were the favorites going into the World Championship. Since they placed so well in the 2 majors they attended that season, they got to skip the wildcard entirely, and with some easy wins against Space Station Gaming and Semper, they make it to the playoffs while only dropping 2 games in the process. Now the thing about Rocket League games is that there are usually 2 teams, so let's head back to that same winter major and see what the other team was up to. With a nice 2-1 record during the group stage, Furia sadly fell short, getting taken out of the tournament by the eventual winner and runner-up team. Furia seemed to have a similar placement in the spring major, losing to Carmine Corps in the first round, then losing to KC again in the lower bracket quarterfinals. Being the #1 team in South America, however, they get the same treatment as Moist, and get to skip the entire wildcard. After getting their revenge on Carmine Corps but not G2, and beating another South American team in the club, Furia has also made it to the playoffs. These 2 teams go head-to-head in the quarterfinals in what some people consider the greatest single series in Rocket League history. The score goes back and forth, and with both sides scoring some incredible goals, we finally make it. Champions Field, the stage where legends are made and dreams come true. But for some, those dreams are shattered. With the score being 2-2, and the game in its final seconds, Dickies Arena is prepared for a Game 7 overtime for the ages. But Furia has other plans.
Moist did not let this drop earlier on. Now they're up against it. Furia! Have they done it?
I can't imagine how Rise, Joy, and Vatira felt when this goal went in. but with Vatira leaving for greener pastures with the blue wall, I can get a solid guess. And that's all 11 maps. Which map had your favorite shot and which goal did I completely leave out? Again, I'm really interested in this topic, so let me know how you feel in the comments below. Also, this is my first video in this kind of style, so if you want to see more, also let me know. It was a lot of fun working out of my comfort zone of straight gameplay videos, and I'm super down to do more of these. But with all that being said, that's all from me. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Later.